Hello and welcome to Everywoman. I'm Shuli Ghosh. This week, turning a battlefield into a playground, providing a safe place for children in the conflict zone of Gaza. Brutal cruelty or valued tradition. The woman who argues whaling is a cultural way of life. And fanning the flames of Women's Lib, the first female firefighters in Iran. But first, India is the world's biggest democracy, but only 8% of its MPs are women. For more than a decade, campaigners have been fighting for the Women's Reservation Bill, which would guarantee women a third of the seats in Parliament. The bill is currently being debated and, as you can imagine, arguments are rife. While a quota would undoubtedly improve women's political power, critics say the proposal is undemocratic and will favour those from elitist backgrounds. One of those critics joins us today, Dr. Madhu Kishwa, a veteran women's activist and founder of one of India's foremost feminist journals. She's the leading voice against the bill. Madhu, thank you very much indeed for joining us. First of all, just take us through very quickly, what is the Women's Reservation Bill proposing?
The present bill, which has been tabled in Parliament, says that 1/3 of all seats will be reserved for women, but they will be done on a rotational basis through a lottery-based system, which is to say if 1/3 of constituencies are reserved in, let's say, 2008, 5 years later, through a draw of lots, another 1/3 will be picked, and these first round of 1/3 seats will be de-reserved and another set of seats will be reserved.
But it does mean that around 181 seats will be given over to women. So why don't you like it? Why do you think it's undemocratic?
No, I'm all for special measures for the enhancement of women's participation in our political processes, in our political institutions. And I'm not opposed to the principle of special measures such as this one. The problem with this scheme is, if you're rotating every election, that means every time 1/3 of women and 1/3 of men will be compulsorily unseated from their chosen constituencies. That goes against the very principle of democratic representation, because you're not allowing people to build their constituencies, to nurse them, and to prepare them to accept you as a leader. Secondly, even if I manage to somehow win an election, but I'll only be a one-time wonder, because once the constituency is de-reserved, it's very unlikely that I'll be allowed to contest from the same constituency again. And so, which means it will bring in a lot of instability, and the likelihood is that wherever a constituency is reserved, the male bosses and male leaders who have prepared and nursed their constituency will say, okay, you want a woman? Here's my wife, here's my daughter, or here's my female relative, she'll fight it for me and keep the seat safe for me.
Madhu, why are these measures necessary anyway? This is the biggest democracy in the world. Why is it that only 8% of the MPs in India are women anyway? Why aren't women coming forward to get into public life?
India is one of the few countries in the world where the participation of women in politics has been on the decline. For example, if you look at early 20th century, when the freedom movement was launched under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, we found women from every village, city, everywhere women were mobilized, and women who became leaders of men. But in post-independence India, that participation in politics did not translate into continuing participation, A, in the public sphere, and secondly, certainly not in representative politics. Here, because party bosses do not give women tickets, because politics has today come to be dominated by money and muscle power, which most women find not very attractive.
So you don't like the current reservation bill. What do you want to see then?
What we are suggesting is an amendment of the People's Representation Act to make it mandatory for political parties to nominate at least 1/3 of tickets. I mean, give at least 1/3 tickets to women to fight elections. And we are confident that if adequate number of women are given tickets, their proportion in Parliament and in state legislatures will rise dramatically and fast, simply because election after election has demonstrated very clearly that voters do not discriminate against women. The success rate of women candidates, incidentally, in India is twice as high as that of men candidates.
We wait with interest to see exactly what's going to happen in India, but for the moment, Madhu, thank you very much indeed for joining us on Everywoman.
Thank you.
Now, where do you play if you're a child in Gaza? In Rafah, one of the towns hardest hit by the second Intifada, there are no safe places. Rafah's refugee camps are teeming and the town itself is battered and poor. Kids are forced to play in destroyed buildings or places where their lives are at risk. Now, one woman has decided to change things. Fida Kishta is fighting for a site where, with the help of donations, she can build a playground, as Layla Haddad reports.
On the besieged streets of Gaza, there are few safe places for children to play. Fida Kishta knows firsthand how dangerous these streets can be. But it was only after seeing a young boy killed in front of her by an active Israeli sniper tower that she decided to take action.
Oh my gosh. I still remember his face and how he looked to me as somebody left scared. He crossed the street and died. The Israeli snipers at the tower shot him. Most of the people on the street was shouting, like, Fida, don't do it. Don't cross the street. Fida, it's dangerous. Fida, you're gonna be die. But I didn't hear them, but I heard to Muhammad. I see him. I see his face. And I help him because he needs the help. That was Muhammad's story, which make my life real strong or make me somebody else, not that girl, which just going to school and came back to study her lessons and to sleep and have good notes at school, and he taught me how to be strong. I'm gonna tell everybody Muhammad's spirit, the child, 9 years old, moved me to be a good woman, a good girl to her society and her people and herself. I will never forget you, Muhammad.
Fida was inspired by Muhammad to found the Life Makers Center in 2004. The center offers tutoring, support, and activities for over 200 of Rafah's vulnerable children. Fida now dedicates her time to a new project, a playground.
I say the kids don't have places to play or to go. Not just playgrounds, they don't have even parks.
Fida's project is now more important than ever. The conflict has rendered the streets deadly for Gaza's children. More than 200 were killed over the past 18 months alone, the result of both Palestinian infighting and Israeli attacks. Statistics show that nearly 1 in 4 victims of Israeli violence is a child. Fida is working closely with the Rafah municipality to make her project a reality. Salah Jarjoun is the playground's engineer.
The siege that is being imposed on our people today is brutal and oppressive. What we are hoping from you, and from any possible donors, is to build a place where the children can be safe from the crisis. Our children today are facing a true crisis, the crisis of overpopulation and of the occupation. Even the refugee camps are overcrowded. So, in coordination with Fida, we feel that the playground has the potential to provide a little bit of freedom and safety for the children.
Aside from the violence, there are many practical challenges in the way. Ali Barhoum, head of the Rafah municipality, explains.
Just look for here, this is the city center here. This is mainly refugee camps, and it's completely crowded by housing, and so there's no any way to establish any recreation area. The only place which is very well, as example, in the place here, that way, or in Tal Sultan here, around this area, and sometimes in north of Rafah in this place also.
This is one of the locations which the municipality recommended for the playground.
Why this area in particular?
For many reasons. It's a safe place. And, you know, Rafah, the Israeli army destroyed many houses for the Palestinian people. So most of the land, the municipality gave it to the Palestinian people who lost their houses.
The conflict was impossible to ignore, even as we surveyed the site.
You see the F-16, the sky?
Fida explained how the playground will look when and if construction begins.
It's gonna be two parts, actually. So the administration room is gonna be there, the library, the mosque. On the other side, it's gonna be small park. On this side, it's gonna be the playground. Swings, slides, the volleyball, basketball. On the two sides, we're gonna have trees, olive trees. We're gonna educate them, teach them, and then give them the place to play and have fun. If the playground gonna be a real project, things gonna change. Because you can touch it, you can see it, you can go and stay there. So the dream became truth, real, something you can touch. And I wish it's gonna be something real and we can touch someday.
And Fida is still struggling to get that project off the ground. We wish her the best of luck. Well, after the break, a time-honoured tradition or a cruel and inhumane way to treat animals. We go to Denmark's Faroe Islands, where the culture of whale hunting is defended by those who say it's a way of life. Stay with us.